Boomer Sooner.
Ball's out, rolling around on the turf. Sooners recover. Looks right, wants to throw, does. It's intercepted. Intercepted. He's under pressure. He lobs in zone. Touchdown.
This is the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner on the Sooner Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Also brought to you by Dos Equis, official import beer of OU Athletics. Go for Dos. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. And by Walden Cleaners. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality. This is the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner. Here are your hosts, Chris Plank and Gabe Eichert.
No Chris Plank today. Toby Rowland
You're
sitting
not Chris.
in for him. I'm not Chris Plank. Major disappointment. I can hear the TVs being clicked off all over Sooner land. But we're going to have fun today anyway. Chris will be back next week. That is the great Gabe Eichert, ladies and gentlemen, and joining us in the first couple of segments, one of our favorite Sooner assistant coaches, safeties coach Brandon Hall. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Doing good. Thank you. Just
Great
getting
to
ready
have you with us today.
Yeah, our first road trip, and looking forward to going on the road and playing a great opponent in Auburn.
So many things about the Tennessee game I want to talk about, but you coached at Auburn.
I was there for a year for the Kick Six. It was a really exciting time.
Are you the one that said, hey, why don't you go back there and just in case?
If we
fall
had
short?
time, there ought to be a 30 for 30 series, and I know it's part of another series, but I was in the press box during that kick, and we called the timeout, and Auburn, and just Ellis Johnson, who was the defensive coordinator at that time, who was very wise and had been around a long time. There's a timeout where Coach Saban, they're checking the clock to make sure there was a second left, and then there was then we froze the kicker, and then in that moment when we froze the kicker, we actually took a guy out of the game and put our best punt returner in. And so all the things that went into that, so I remember Ellis Johnson saying, hey, if they can't make this, don't we want to put our best return man in there? And so we actually, if you look at when they lined up before it, there's a different returner in there.
Yeah.
And just how things work out in life and destiny or whatever you want to call it. It was really, really cool experience to be a part of that.
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
And there was a domino effect. That was my senior year. We ended up playing Alabama in a bowl
That's
game
right.
because of that entire sequence. But what's the challenge like going and playing at Auburn? So you were on the staff. You know what that place is like. What is this football team walking into?
It's very emotional. The Auburn fans they're a very prideful group. I mean, they will show up in force. They will be loud. It's going to be very similar to the Cotton Bowl. You know what I mean? And as far as just they're going to be loud. There's a lot of tradition. Whether it's the eagle flying over, they support their team in good times and in bad. And our guys got to be ready to meet that challenge. And they're going to try to come in and run the football. They're very physical. Very talented football team, and obviously still looking for an identity. But they're definitely as good as we'll see personnel-wise in the SEC.
Well, we won't dwell on it, but we do want to look back at the Tennessee game. Tough loss. You guys on the defensive side of the ball, though, played well. What was your takeaway from that?
The biggest thing for me is you watch growth, over the last few years and being in a tight ball game, and just watching our guys go back on the field and answering the challenge of just being unfazed by the moment, almost relishing in the moment of having to go back out there and get a stop for the offense and wanting to do it for the offense. And those are things that, as a team, you love to see, because at the end of the day, it has nothing to do. I know it's about winning and losing, but for them, it wasn't about the score. It was about, the process and just delivering in the moment and getting that ball back for our offense.
How satisfying was it for you to see the defense as a whole go out there, play the three-man front, play the three safety stuff, and execute that game plan as well as you guys did?
And I talked about this with my guys on Friday. It was one of, I felt like as a group, and I'm talking about my group obviously, one of our best weeks of practice. Felt like Friday we were ready to play. I think it showed up on the field. But when you play a great opponent like Tennessee, a great opponent like Auburn, it forces you to, you really hone in and do a better job of getting prepared. And I love the growth that I saw in our team and in our defense. That to me was the most satisfying piece. Obviously, the goal is to win, and it's heartbreaking and it hurts. But just seeing the amount of time and just preparation that our guys put into this game was something that I really enjoyed watching throughout the week.
Robert Spears-Jennings has become a monster. This might have been his best game, a career-high 13 tackles. He forced the fumble on the sack. I think we all had high hopes coming into this year, but boy, he's really developing into a weapon for you.
He's a good player, and and I like, he's one of my favorites, man. And just because, when I got here, he had just come on board, and he just, it was like he was transitioning from being a receiver in high school to this defensive back, and really didn't understand the position. And then watching him play on special teams as a freshman, and then you go back to 2 years ago when you put him in the game, and you can tell he struggled, you know what I mean? And now you look at a guy that's got confidence, and he's playing at a high level because he believes in himself and he believes in his own ability, and the sky's the limit, He loves this program. He's obviously from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and just watching him grow, off the field in his preparation to me has been the funnest thing.
How has Billy Bowman's leadership, right, that experience that he has, how has that affected your room as a whole?
Well, I know this. He's the heartbeat of our group, and he it's all about expectations, right? He's the guy that sets the bar. He holds the standard, and so for me, we talk about it time and time again. We talk about stacking days. We talk about you being the best that you can be today, and that in a nutshell is Billy Bowman. It doesn't matter what he did yesterday. He's going to go to practice angry, and he's going to go to practice with a purpose. And when he's not out there, you feel it. You feel the difference in energy. You feel the difference in leadership. Billy demands everybody's best, and that's his best quality. And so when he's out there on that field or he's at practice, if you're in the game with him, you feel like there's a certain standard that you need to play at to be on the field with him, and that's his best quality. And he's poured into Peyton, he's poured into RJ, he's pouring into those younger guys, and because of his standard and how he lives his life, that group as a whole is better. And that's everyone loves Billy as the football player. To me, it's the person. I mean, there is no off days for Billy. He's the standard bearer for us in our group.
You have a great problem in that you have a tough choice as to who to put on the field for every drive because of Peyton and Robert and Billy, and you've got so much talent back there at safety. But that's the kind of problem you'd like to have.
I don't see it as a problem, and here's what. Let me explain.
Tough choice.
Let me explain that. The SEC is a very physical league. Yeah. Football is a very physical football game, and it's a long season. And if you look at the last 2 years, we've had a lot of injuries, and it's a part of the game. And I'm not talking about season-ending injuries, but I'm talking about guys getting banged up, and we've had that this year. And being able to plug guys in that are of the same caliber, the same quality, that have the same characteristics is something that's big. And I think in this conference, to win championships, you've got to have that. And you have to go out and recruit tough-minded guys that can play at early on. To me, the days of redshirting people are just not something that's a reality. They've got to be able to come in and play early and play often. And I don't see us having two starters. I see it as a group that has to be willing to go in at any minute and play a lot of snaps.
All right, we want to talk more with Coach Hall about the upcoming showdown with Auburn, but we'll take a break right now. You're watching Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind. We'll be right back.
Coach's Corner is brought to you by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. Orthodontics Exclusively is a proud sponsor of the Junior Captain of the Game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 6 to 12. Bob Moore Ford is proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the Game. Chick-fil-A. Download the Chick-fil-A app and order your favorites ahead of time.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner. We're hanging out with Sooner Safeties coach Brandon Hall as Oklahoma gets set to take on the Auburn Tigers. First SEC road game coming up 2:30 this Saturday down on the loveliest village on the plain, I believe is what they call it down there. So back, one more Tennessee question and then all Auburn after that. You guys changed things up defensively against Tennessee, the three-man front, and because of that, as it has been explained to me, an amateur, that spilled a lot of things to your guys as far as tackling comes. I would imagine that Robert, Billy, and Peyton were pretty excited about the game plan, knowing there's going to be a lot on their shoulders in that one. Well,
that type of offense is known for making explosive plays, and their job the philosophy of that offense is we want to create space, right? Well, the only way that you can succeed as a defense is you got to take it away. So we've got to expand our alignments, right, and then force everything to come to us outside in. And yeah, they enjoyed it. Getting 3 guys on the field all at one time was also something that was really good. But again, you got to be able to tackle in space to play that defense. And I thought, Robert did an unbelievable job of that. 13 tackles is not a bad day for a safety.
He arrives at the ball with some punch too. Before we look to Auburn, I want to talk about some of the young guys in your room. I think even though he has not played a ton of snaps, Michael Boganowski has quickly become a fan favorite.
Fan favorite, yeah.
I mean, just the intensity, the physicality he already plays with as a true freshman. Just what type of growth have you seen from Boganowski so far?
Well, first of all, I've got an amazing group of young players, and in the next few years, I think the fans, this program will come to see what I see. But you got Michael Boganowski, that's I believe to be one of the hardest hitters that I've seen in 25 years of coaching. The guy doesn't miss. I mean, he has a knack for tracking the ball, and he's a guy that each and every week he gets better and better in his preparation. The athletic ability is there, and he's growing and growing and growing. And there's going to come a day where he's going to be a staple in this defense. You got Jaden Hardy, who's one of the smarter football players that I've ever coached. Sometimes too smart for his own good, even, and that's
Wow.
That is a compliment.
Yeah.
And then you got Reggie Powers, who's kind of been banged up. Those are 3 guys right now that are just they're playing a lot of special teams. And to play at Oklahoma in the SEC as a true freshman on special teams, I mean, you got to be special. I mean, and like I said, and there's those guys because they've got the ability, but the thing that separates most guys from high school to college to even the NFL is it's not necessarily your the physical aspect, it's the mental, and learning how to watch film, to prepare, and to see things pre-snap, to anticipate. That's what gets guys on the field, and those are things where those guys in those areas they're growing each and every week.
Keandre Lambert-Smith, big-time deep threat for Auburn. I think he's averaging about 30 yards a catch this year. But what do you see out of the Auburn wide receiving core that you have to be ready for Saturday?
Big-bodied guys that can catch the ball. From the tight ends all the way, through the receivers, and guys that are physical, guys that'll block. And at the end of the day, man, you got to get into their body, and you can't let them create space, so to speak, because they got good ball skills. They're going to take shots down the field. They're going to try to get into formations that make it easy for the quarterback to read the coverage and try to get him in one-on-ones. We got to do a good job, man, of tackling in space. They're real big in the RPO game, as everybody knows that's watched film of them. And it's our job to be patient, to hold those windows, and then show up in the run game like we did last week.
You mentioned it earlier, the importance of stopping the run in this game, and especially for your position group, all the things that you guys are asked to do in the run fit. How much variety do you see in their run game? Like, how challenging do you think it'll be? Because Jarquez Hunter, he's an experienced back, and he's a talented guy.
Well, they're going to take on the personality of their head coach. I think he's one of the better minds in all of college football. He understands defense, and what I mean by that is he understands how to get an extra gap, get an extra guy to the point of attack. And he's going to do a lot of window dressing, a lot of jet motions, a lot of jump shifts and trades, and he's going to try to create. Whether it's the stretch, the counter, whatever it is, he's going to try to create an advantage for those guys numbers-wise in the run game. And so for us, it's about making sure that we have our eyes in the right place. You know what I'm saying? You got to see pullers, you got to see where the back is at pre-snap, things of that nature. And you got to be able to jump, shift, and trade your alignment when they move. And those are all things that we've worked a lot on this week. And then when you do show up in the run, you got to show up with violence. You got to create knockback. You can't let these guys run through you for 3 or 4 yards.
41 interceptions in the Brent Venables era. That leads the country. 12 takeaways this year. That leads the country. What is it you guys preach or techniques that you teach that has enabled you to be so good at taking the football away from opponents?
Well, you get what you emphasize, right? And Coach Venables, when he came, and obviously Coach Alley this year, that's all we talk about is creating turnovers. It's something that we practice daily. It's a part of our individual. It's something that we constantly talk about when grading tape. It's something that we reward guys for, and it's something that we're very conscious of and aware of to be successful. So it's part of our DNA. It's part of who we are as a defense, and I think it's something that we'll continue to do throughout the season.
Looking at the way that you guys played against Tennessee, do you get the sense that the guys, that your group and all these guys on the defensive side of the ball, like, was that a confidence boost? I know that they're a confident group already, but to go out and play the way that they did against one of the best offenses in the country, that has to inspire a certain amount of confidence for them as a group.
Well, I think each and every game that you've seen this year, I think that we've gotten better and better. And what I mean by that is, so as we as coaches, we go in with a message, right? And and you guys know this, we go in and we have this vision for what we want our defense to be like and what Oklahoma's known for, going back for 100 years, right? And we talk about the DNA of Oklahoma football and what that's about, being physical, being blue collar, being tough. And then when you go out on the field and then you produce and they're able to see the results of this vision that you've planted in their mind, it creates confidence. And everyone knows Coach Venables is a defensive guy, and he's hard-nosed, and he wants to be physical, and where we're going to run to the football. And so when guys start to see that those actions have results and there's a payoff to that, absolutely, it's going to create confidence. It's going to create a snowball effect that people know that Oklahoma, hey, when you show up, they're going to play great defense. And that's something he's preached since day one, and it's just something that we're going to continue to emphasize, and I believe, again, it's going to be part of who we are as a team moving forward.
What's the message to guys when they go on the road for the first time? You don't have a ton of youngsters that are starting necessarily on the defensive side of the ball, but you are playing several guys that may not have been in an environment like this before. So what do you tell them?
To keep the main thing the main thing. You're here to play a football game. You gotta quiet the distraction, right? Feed the focus. And for us, we get on the plane, we get to the hotel. It's no different than us going out here on Highway 9 and going to the hotel the night before. The location's different, but the preparation is the same. And once that ball's kicked off, it's about, football's a very simple game, complicated by coaches sometimes. And it's about running the football, it's about tackling. And when you get lined up, get your eyes in the right place, and you tackle the guy with the football, good things happen defensively.
This is a stupid question. I'm fully aware of that. Is it, and I was an offensive guy, going on the road, you face the challenge of the crowd noise and how it affects your communication and all these things. Is it harder to play defense on the road? Because it seems like the communication, the crowd is being quiet for their offense. Seems like the communication, everything, you can hear what the offense is saying as well. Like, is it, I'm not saying it's easier, but is it different for your guys than playing defense at home?
Obviously for us, it's the crowd noise, it's the energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The juice.
That you feel at home.
You get a PBU or the whole crowd goes crazy right here.
Right.
But you go on the road and it's dead quiet. And there's a lot of different challenges that defenses face. Obviously offenses, you guys got to have snap count, whatever that is.
Right.
But going on the road, man, it's about 11 guys or however many guys being in that huddle and just looking around, and it's like you're the gladiator of old, man. It's like ain't nobody in this arena wants you to survive. They're against you. And when you take that mentality in there of being the guy that wants to quiet the crowd, right? To disappoint the crowd, to kill the lion, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be the one to the tiger, whatever.
Whatever animal.
Yeah.
They used a lot of different animals.
What tiger?
Oh, tiger, yeah. Auburn.
Good call.
Well done,
When
Toby.
you walk in with a gladiator's mentality that the expectation is for you to be killed, you can kind of get excited about that. You know what I mean? You get that little bit of that, all right, you guys want some? And I think a great defense carries that type of mentality onto a road game. You got to be a road warrior, and we're going to be tested this week, and we got to meet the challenge. This defense knows that.
It's a good question. You said it was going to be a bad question. It was a good
It
question.
was an okay question.
No, I think it was a great question.
I'll take okay.
I'll take okay.
It's your birthday though, so.
Yeah.
It's both of our birthdays.
We'll
Believe it
get
or
you
not.
out of here on this one. When one side of the ball, I'm sure you've experienced both ways in your coaching. One side of the ball is having success, and the other isn't as much. I would imagine it would be easy maybe for a locker room to fracture in that situation. How do you keep it together?
Well, what we've done, what we've built at Oklahoma was not built on a Saturday. It was built in the freezing cold of January. Whether it's Jackson Arnold or Hawkins or whoever it is, I love those guys. I've watched them sweat. I've watched them give everything that they have to each other. We're a family, and there's growing pains as a family. You know what I'm saying? I've got brothers I got a wife, I got kids. You know what I mean? And it don't matter. You know, sometimes things don't, work out or end the way that you want, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna fight for my brothers. I'm gonna fight for my family. And there ain't nobody that I would rather have in that room, in that stadium, than those 11 guys that we put out there on offense, because I know what they're about on the inside. And they're gonna get it done. I know that, and everybody on defense knows that. And we believe in them, and we rally around those guys just like they rally around us. And people just don't lose sight of that. I mean, these guys, they're fighting their butts off right now.
No one wants to play at a high level more than them.
Ain't no doubt.
And just sometimes it's just not clicking, but I remain optimistic that it will click.
Coach Hall's got me ready to run out there.
Well, you got to speak it into existence.
Don't believe in yourself. Who's going to believe in you?
No.
That's the way I've always seen it.
We're good. We're Oklahoma's fine. So just keep toting the rock, man. Keep pounding it in there. We're gonna get it done.
Love talking to you. Good luck against the Auburn Tigers on Saturday.
Appreciate you, brother. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
You
Brandon
too.
Hall.
Thanks, man.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Sooner wide receivers coach Emmett Jones. Stay with us here on Coach's Corner.
We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Walden Cleaners and Laundry, where the difference is quality.
All right, Toby and Gabe back with you. Let's talk some football. Oklahoma and Auburn getting set for a 2:30 matchup Saturday at Auburn. Must win virtually, it feels like, Gabe, for both teams, even though we're still in the first half of the season. Start on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, there's a lot to figure out there. And the big news is this week that Brent Venables didn't mess around. On Monday, he announced Michael Hawkins is going to be his starting quarterback. First ever collegiate start comes on the road at Jordan-Hare Stadium. This kid's, I think we're excited to see him.
Not that bad, right?
I'm excited to see him. I know it's going to be a difficult environment, but I'm excited to see him.
I think that the way that he came into the Tennessee game, how he handled that entire situation, and the way that he went out and played under those circumstances, I think it just tells you a lot about how the kid is wired. Now, this is going to be a different test. Auburn they're not the best defense OU has seen. Tennessee's defense is much better than Auburn's. But Auburn's is more multiple than Tennessee's. They throw a lot of different looks at you, different fronts, different coverage structures. I mean, they have the three safety defense. They've majored in that in a couple games, and then they kind of have this other identity where they're a 4-down attacking man coverage team. So you have to be prepared for all of it if you're Michael Hawkins and you're in this offense. So it's a big challenge, and they've got good players on defense. Their defense has not been the problem for the football team. So it's going to be an incredibly challenging environment. This offense has struggled, but I'm optimistic that Michael Hawkins' quick decision-making and his athleticism, I'm hopeful that this will unlock this offense a little bit.
Do you think it changes much with him? I mean, we're just guessing here, but do you think the offense changes much with him pulling the trigger?
I don't think you can make just wholesale changes.
Yeah.
Week 5 of the season. I do think what Brent Venables said this week about reducing some of the RPO situations, I think that can be helpful for him when it comes to just making the decision-making a little easier. One thing I'm extremely interested in is how he'll open things up in the run game. Him and Jackson Arnold are both very athletic guys, but Hawkins has more speed. And with some of the things that Arkansas did offensively with Taylon Green at the quarterback position, all the focus is going to be on Michael Hawkins. Mm-hmm. He's a freshman. The quarterback change has become a massive story nationally. Everyone wants to give their opinion on how Brent Venables is handling this. It's the guys around him that need to step up. Because if it's, Hawkins has to go win us this game, That's not a good formula for
ask.
success.
Yeah.
He's a true freshman starting his first football game on the road at Auburn. I just think everyone around him needs to step up. It starts with the offensive line, the communication, identifying the proper guys, going to the right spots, and got to get the running game going.
Yeah.
If you can get that running game going and keep Auburn's defense off balance, then that's a formula for success offensively. That's a formula that will set Michael Hawkins Jr. up to succeed. If it's, hey, we can't run the ball at all, go win us the game, Mike, then that's a really tough ask on a young player.
Well, one thing that'll be interesting is how can they deal with a very depleted wide receiver core. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll visit with Sooner wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator Emmett Jones. You're watching Coach's Corner, brought to us by the Riverwind. Stay with us.
OU's 2024 football games are available on Exitos 96.5 FM in Oklahoma City and 101.5 FM El Patron in Tulsa, as well as on those stations' websites. Each OU Spanish broadcast will feature a 30-minute pregame show and a 15-minute postgame show. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. New episodes drop every day. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. Presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino.
Our pleasure now to be joined by Sooner wide receivers coach, passing game coordinator Emmett Jones. How are you today, Coach?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great. Very much looking forward to the trip down to Auburn, Alabama this week, and want to ask you all about that coming up here. But first off, a quick look back at Tennessee. It was a frustrating night for the offense, obviously, but what was your takeaway from that game?
Just need to capitalize on some of the plus that the defense gives us. When we get those opportunities, you definitely have to take advantage of those big-time moments. In a big game like that, you definitely got to take advantage of it. I told those guys at one point during that game, I said, man, if these guys are number 6 in the country, we right here with these guys. We still have a chance to win this game, man. And that was a conversation on the sideline. But at the same time, you're dealing with so many new guys, so many guys that really don't have too much experience. You treat every moment like a learning curve for those guys or opportunity to teach while you're on the sideline and to keep them positive, keep them believing at the same time. But I tell you one thing, the hunger is still there. No one never gets down. Everybody feel like they can make a play, but just the details, the small details is magnified tremendously in those type of environments.
I know that now that I've spent some time with you, you're not an excuses guy, but just how challenging is it for you personally seeing so many of your guys injured? I mean, it's just clearly it's affecting the offense and the football team and what you guys are able to do, but just for you personally, seeing guy after guy go down, I mean, that can't be easy as their coach.
No, it can't be. It's kind of tough, but you think about it, you try to plan ahead for these type of moments, and that's why I've tried to carry quite a few guys in my room. That's the way Coach Kingsbury raised me. That's the way he, brought me into this profession, having so much depth in my room. And I like to keep good quality walk-ons in there. I like to make sure we maximize the scholarship number there. Just for those situations. And I talk about these situations to those guys all the time, like no matter who you are, the way I like to rotate guys at practice, I do that so I can gain trust into you, gain trust in you guys, just in case a moment like what's happening right now comes up, So, due to the situation that we are in and where we at in that room, honestly, I still feel great about the guys that I do have in the room. And I told the coaches this morning, I say it all the time, I have never been around a group of receivers collectively that's this fast and this quick when it comes to pushing, exploding off the line of scrimmage and winning their one-on-ones, getting vertical. Now, there are some other details that come with that, that those guys have to learn, and they're picking that stuff up fast also, too, that'll allow them to be successful. We're just doing it on a huge stage in front of everybody.
Jaleel, Jaden, now Nick and Andrell, how are they handling this? Are they, even though they can't be on the field, are they trying to help be coaches out there
Oh, yeah.
alongside you? Or
Oh yeah, I have four student assistant coaches now. I have Coach Anderson, Coach Anthony, Coach Farouk, Coach Gibson, and then also Coach Melson also too. You know, he's right there with those guys. You know, and you know those young receivers, they look up to those guys, and we see that room improving. We just need to show it Saturday afternoon and put it on display when it really counts. You know, try to get those guys to understand that it counts Monday through Thursday also too. Just the details of what you're asked to do and what you're required to do on a day-to-day basis to be successful on this level, you know, man, it's very important, you know, and nobody is rebelling. Nobody is rebelling. Guys, you know, want to win in certain situations. If that's just perimeter blocking, we want to dominate when it comes to perimeter blocking because that'll help and open up other things down the road for us in the game. Of course, when the ball comes our way, yeah, we want to come down with the ball also too and get an opportunity to make plays, you know. So just waiting on that moment to come, actually.
Looking at the Tennessee game, I thought Jaquez Petaway was one of the bright spots for the offense. You know, he'd been banged up to start the season, but you know, how encouraging was it for you to see Petaway go and make the plays when he got his opportunities against Tennessee?
It was huge. It was huge for me, and it was great for him. This time last week, I didn't even think he was going to play against Tennessee because he was out a few days at practice. But then he toughened up and manned up and showed up on Friday for the walkthrough, and he was able to be a huge bright spot for us in the game. So now it's time for that to carry over. We need to continue to get those type of plays out of him as we head down to Auburn this Saturday.
how about the Zions? Kearney, Reagans. We've seen a lot more of Reagans than we have of Kearney so far, but he's getting some playing time too. How are those guys coming along?
They doing great. You're going to see Kearney also too. You know, one thing I tell him, I said, boy, if it's not one thing, you definitely look like you belong out on the
There's no doubt about that. Go, who is number 7? Let's go.
Right on, you know. But, you know, he's a gamer also too. Love to practice, but I can tell you about any one of those freshmen. You can say Carrion, you can say Reagans, you can say Kearney, and even Kelly Daniels, even though he's not really getting in. None of those guys look like the moment and the stage is too big for those guys. They're all eager and want to play ball, you know, want to help the program win. So I tell them all the time, you know, just make the right play at the right time, man. It'll change your life, man, as a Sooner. You know, so just be ready.
Yeah, looking at one of my favorite moments in the entire football game last week was Michael Hawkins finds Petaway in the middle of the field. And then Kearney is down the field, I don't know, 30, 35, 40 yards blocking.
Yeah.
That has to be extremely encouraging for you. You have to feel like what you've been preaching is taking root when you see something like that.
Yes, sir. You know, because that gets graded every day at practice. You know, finishing and selling out for your brothers, trying to make that down the field block that may pop a big run for the program. Just Kearney, man. Kearney just been trying to do whatever he can do to get on the field to help, and you will see him down in Alabama. You know, getting the opportunity also too. So I'm just waiting on him to make the plays, man, because you see it sometimes at practice. I'm just waiting on him to really just show his talent, his abilities in front of the Sooner Nation on the big stage.
This segment brought to us by Community Coffee. How well do you there you go, see? How well do you get along with Jay Valai? You guys get along pretty well?
Yes, sir.
Because this week, a transaction took place.
Yeah.
You went across and said, can I have one of your guys? Or you tell me, how did it go down? Because Jacoby Johnson's in your room now this week.
You know, that started last year, actually.
Okay.
You know, because I knew he was a wide receiver, and Jeff Levy used to always talk about him, you know, so I tried to pluck him last year.
You've been bugging him for a while.
This has been a long-term plan. I like it.
Year. And then Jay he kind of beat me to the punch this year. He brought it to my attention. You know, it's like it works better when someone else brings it up.
Yeah.
You know, he brought it to my attention. No, first of all, it was Coach Hall, actually. Coach Hall started talking about it like in fall camp. Then Jay brought it up a couple of weeks ago. Then they all went to the head man.
Jacoby been in on this too? Has he been saying, hey,
yes,
let me come play some wide receiver for you?
Jacoby talks about playing both ways, you know, so he's been doing that pretty much since
He's watching that kid out in Colorado saying, I can do that.
He's doing it at a pretty high level, so it can be done.
That's right.
You know, so, you know, my thing with Jacoby right now, I went back and watched his high school tape and just try to see his strengths as a wide receiver. And one thing he does, you know, of course he's fast, he's explosive, but he goes up and attack the ball. And so I just want to put him in those kind of situations where he can feel comfortable treat it just like he's in the backyard out there playing football. The ball come his way, just go up and intercept the ball. So that's what we're saying to Jacoby right now. If it come your way, just go up and intercept it. But I don't want him thinking about too much, and we'll make it so easy for him so he can get some opportunities.
Without revealing too much, like, how do you handle that? Do you just give him a package of plays and say, like, hey, this is what we're calling when you're in? Or, like, how do you handle that? It's so interesting to me because he's been on the defensive side for the last couple of years.
Right on. I hold the other guys accountable also, too, so they're his coach out on the football field.
Right.
But then we reduce the package for him. And the package that he will receive will be stuff that's easy for him, that cater to his strength, you know, as far as trying to get behind somebody and get an opportunity to make plays. So whatever he shows on tape from practice that look good, I highlight that and just carry it over, and I give that to Coach Latrell, like, this is what he's strong at.
How was the reception from the rest of the guys in that room? Is, you know, new kid comes into school and you're like, hang on a second. We've been playing wide receiver all year. Now here comes the new guy in trying to take our reps from us. So how's it been from, you know, the Zions and Dion and everybody else in that room?
It's been great. You know, it's not like stealing reps. It's everybody know we need bodies. You know,
you need the help.
We believe in bodies in that room, especially at practice. You know, so you can take some of the load off some of the guys, and also in game also too. You know, so he's there to help give us another spot when it comes to depth, and he's just another player with some great athletic ability that can really come in and make a huge impact for us.
Deion Burks he's been really good, but he hasn't had that breakout game that we all know he's capable of. What does it take to really get him loose in one of these football games?
Just let him do what he want to do. You know, Deion want to get behind guys. He want to go over guys' heads downfield. Yes, he want to perfect the slot position. He want to get the ball quick right now, but he really want to get downfield and get the opportunity to go over someone's head and make a play, or just outrun him on anything vertical. You know, so we're just trying to get him in a position where he can do that. You know, but he's been a great leader for those young men in the room. Deion is locked in onto the details as far as what we're doing from an offensive standpoint, and he brings it every day as far as working hard on the field and help raising these young guys we have in the room also too.
I'd be interested in hearing your perspective, Coach, on what you've seen out of Michael Hawkins this week since he's been named the starter.
Some guys have the it factor, you know, and that's just naturally for him. You know, of course, Mike Hawkins' last game in high school was against my former high school, and those guys think he's the greatest thing on earth. You know, they think he's the next Kyler Murray. Like, Coach, we still chasing him. We had angles on him, Coach. He was making off-rhythm throws, Coach, and we still couldn't get our hands on him like how we wanted to, you know, but I told guys over the last few days, Dallas has been blowing my phone up once it was announced that he was going to be the guy under the hump. But I have to challenge my room to help him out too, though. You know, be where you need to be at, make plays for him, make sure you're locked in and doing what we have to do downfield to extend plays.
When you look at how he handled going into the Tennessee game, what do you think it says about him as a player that he handled that situation the way that he did?
It goes back to how he was raised. I think his mom and his dad done a great job with him. Really his whole circle. They all done a great job with him. He's a natural leader. And one thing I had been telling him since fall camp, like, you just need to stay ready because you never know on this level. Anything can happen. You know, don't let what's going on right now defeat you mentally. You just need to stay locked in and be ready for that moment, man. But the guys always like getting reps with Mike, even back in the spring and fall camp, you know, because he likes to take chances. He'll try to squeeze the ball in, and Mike likes to scramble. He likes to run, but also he's looking downfield and making throws also too. So we know when Mike's scramble drill is in full effect, you know. So and just like yesterday's show at practice, he likes to push the ball downfield and throwing those deep outs. You know, he can throw it from
the one the Ravens was.
Yes, sir.
Coach Emmett Jones, Coach, good luck against Auburn.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us today.
You.
Final segment, we'll wrap it up next on Coach's Corner, brought to you by the Riverwind Casino.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola.
Well, we can't wait to get down to Auburn on Saturday. It's going to be fun. First SEC road game, and it's time now for the Bob Moore Ford Scouting Report, brought to you by Bob Moore Ford, proud to honor service members through the Patriot of the game. What do we know about the challenge this week?
Well, you look at Auburn's offense, really good system. Very RPO heavy, but throw a lot at you in the run game. And I think Jarquez Hunter is a quality back. You heard Brandon Hall talk about it. You got to stop the run. The goal needs to be make them a one-dimensional offense. Their quarterbacks have had big-time issues turning the football over. I think we're going to see Peyton Thorne out of the gate for Auburn.
The senior.
He's a more mobile guy. He adds a little bit as a runner, but the goal should be make Peyton Thorne or Hank Brown or whoever at the quarterback position for Auburn beat you throwing the football. So I think OU's defense, I think they're going to come out and they're going to put a massive emphasis on stopping the run game and trying to get them in second and long, third and long situations where the quarterback's got to beat you throwing from the pocket.
We don't know which quarterback they're going to play, but I think you're right. Probably to be Peyton Thorne.
It feels like a huge game for Hugh Freeze in that program.
Right.
You usually lean on experience in that situation.
Eichert's Intel brought to you by Orthodontics exclusively. Proud to sponsor the captain of the game. Junior Captain is the ultimate fan experience for children 3 to 7 years old. How does Oklahoma win this football game?
Well, defense just has to keep doing what it's been doing. Playing at an extremely high level, win at the point of attack, force turnovers. You don't want to change anything, right, with what the defense has been doing. But we all have seen how this thing's gone offensively for the Sooners to start the season. I think we're all very interested to see how Michael Hawkins does in his first start. True freshman in a hostile environment, but it shouldn't be his game to go and win. Everyone around him has to play well. And that starts with the offensive line. You look at Auburn, they are not as good as Tennessee on defense. They're not. But they present a different challenge than Tennessee does. They're very multiple. They'll play 4 down, they'll play 3 down, they play the 3 safety defense. They'll play an attacking, like man coverage style of defense, and that's what I think we're going to get from Auburn in this football game. I think they're going to heat Michael Hawkins up, and I think they're going to challenge OU's wide receivers with a lot of man coverage. How do they respond? I think the most important thing in the entire football game for OU offensively is pre-snap communication. Because Auburn does a lot of different things with their defensive fronts. You have to communicate all of that in a very short period of time. It's going to be really loud when you're trying to do that, but you just have to get it done. And if you're all on the same page, you've got a chance. And I'm hopeful that some of the communication issues that OU's offensive line, the tight ends, the running backs that they've had, I'm hopeful that those things won't pop up in this football game. They need to get those things corrected. If you do all that, you're going to be just fine.
Auburn last in the nation in turnovers. They've coughed it up 14 times this year. OU leads the nation in taking away the football. Let's just keep both those things going, and it'll be a good day for Oklahoma.
My hope is that Auburn does not figure out their turnover issues in this game.
That would be a good. We'll be on the air with you 11:30 a.m. Saturday for the Sooner Radio pregame show live from Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. And Chris will be back next week right here on Coach's Corner. Thanks for watching, everybody. Boomer Sooner.
This has been the Riverwind Casino Coach's Corner, presented by Riverwind Casino. Good times, great rewards. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Sooner Sports Network.